Hey, welcome back to Fatz Chats. So we got two ladies on today, Georgia and Alisha. How are you doing, ladies?
Good.
In relation to some of the talks that we've had recently, it's been a lot of where they go, men's mental health. And I know you ladies are big on the women's mental health. You do We Swam Through as well, which is a lovely community of people with mental health and just a connective togetherness. So it'd be nice to have a more woman's side and hear it from you ladies about women's mental health because there's a lot of talk about men's mental health. We have it a lot of times. So just coming back to you guys, do you want to introduce yourself and kind of maybe who you are, what you do, we swam through, how it's been for you, and maybe some of your struggles?
Awesome. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go
You
first?
can go first.
I'm Georgia and I have lived in Eastbourne predominantly most of my life. I have struggled with my mental health since I was probably about 13 or 14. If I look back, I've always, even when I was really young, been very anxious. I was always a worried little girl. I was constantly kind of like, asking my mum like what we were doing, what was happening. I always needed to know what was going on. And I look back and I think actually that anxiety probably started so much younger, but I didn't really realise that's what it was. And then as a teenager, anything to do with kind of like exams, friends, fitting in, I just never quite felt that I was, in the same space as my peers.
Yeah.
And I felt kind of exposed and different and awkward, and I think I've always felt like that. But it's been really nice over the last few years. I've done a lot of kind of self-work and self-discovery. I went through a really tough breakup a few years ago, and I think that kind of pushed me into the trajectory of finding out about me and actually what I needed to support my own mental health. And from that, I've developed some coping strategies, and for me mindfulness is a really big thing. So I practice a lot of mindfulness, and I help other people do mindfulness and breath work and all of those kinds of things. And I discovered that I had ADHD when I was 32, which made my whole life make sense.
Yeah.
And it's just been a bit of a journey since then. But what's been really lovely about kind of meeting people like Alisha and coming onto the We Swam Through community is meeting other people that are going through similar struggles, that understand the work that has to take place, that kind of constant
Yeah.
and the constant evolving and thinking about what works for me sometimes might not work for me always. Healing is a continual process. You're never going to fully get there, and some days you are just going to feel a bit low and a bit crap, and it's okay. And it's about having grace for yourself and surrounding yourself around people that get it and that can kind of support you and just be there, not even just to listen, but sometimes you can be there in silence and not need that, but just have a space where you can come and share similar interests and see swimming as a really big one for us. So that's
Nice.
a bit about me.
Nice.
Love that. I'm Alicia, and I have lived in Eastbourne my whole life, which at one point I probably would have said unfortunately, but now I actually am not unfortunate. I have had, I'd say my mental health started a lot later on in my life. It was almost like a really delayed reaction for me as well. It was more my teens, but then towards it, I had the mental health there, but it was like bubbling under the surface, and I didn't let it show or slip for a very long time, but I did struggle for a very long time. And then something happened in my 20s when I was actually pregnant with late in my second pregnancy, and it was like a trigger, and that was it. I was done for, and anxiety kicked in, depression kicked in, and it has just been like a mental roller coaster since then. Recently I've had maybe one of the worst. Maybe I've had a pretty bad time, but this time is kind of up there with it. And so I decided, luckily I think because I've had times like this before, I've managed to go, oh, I can see the signs and that's it, and I'm gonna sort myself out. And I had, but it's just been really difficult this time. So I joined the We Swam Through stuff, which I'd seen you do and I've seen other people do, and I was like, do you know what, one day I was just like, I'm gonna give that a go. Why not?
Did you know anybody down there?
You, Siobhan, and that was it.
Yeah.
I didn't
Siobhan's
know.
lovely, yeah.
Siobhan is lovely. But as much as I knew you both, I didn't know you, and so I mean we've had more conversations in the past, but we still haven't like connected in that way really. So I was going into it not knowing really anyone deeply enough. I was petrified, like absolutely petrified. I ended up, I think like at the end I was like, oh my god, I'm so glad I done that. It was really, really, really good for me, and I just loved it like instantly. And it either works for you or it doesn't, but I think going and doing something and not having, you just can't second guess, because when you're in that headspace, I mean I'd like recently been diagnosed with chronic PTSD and anxiety, mild agoraphobia. I didn't want to leave my house and I was off work for ages. So doing that one thing has literally changed the game for me, and now I'm like, all I want to do is go there. Like my day doesn't start right if I don't go. So yeah, and having 2 kids is always a bit of a challenge in itself. So
And you found the community that you go to now has changed your perspective on life?
massively. Like I can't, it's so funny because you know, like you're into mindfulness, and so you'll say to people like, make sure you be like, do your gratitude for the day and all of that kind of thing. I found that really difficult to do, because when you're in such
low space,
you cannot for the life of you find something that you're grateful for that day.
true.
You just can't.
So true.
And all you're thinking of is, why is this happening? And you become the victim in your own story. You do, and you just like play it so much, like over and over in your head. It becomes a really bad thought pattern. But for me, I was like, I'm just gonna try it. I'm not gonna think about it. If I think about it too much, I'm gonna talk myself out of it for a start. Then I do it, and then I'm like, that's really good. Had it not have been the people that are there and those kinds of people that are like positive, they're supportive. God, like you were like talking me through breathing when the first time I couldn't breathe. I actually couldn't capture
It
my
is
breath.
hard when
And
you
she
first
was
go
like,
there.
It's okay, breathe with me. And she was breathing with me, and I was like, Jesus, like no one's ever like really
Breathe
done
with
it. But like it's not just the breathing in the water thing, it's the
Co-regulating. Yeah.
like
so
someone
powerful.
seeing you struggle and they're willing to go, it's okay, you've got this, and I'm going to be here doing it with you. Like that for me was like one of the biggest things. And then obviously you talk to everyone and you get to know them and about their lives and what's going on with them, and everything becomes really uplifting, really positive. And then you find, oh, like I want to see those people in the morning to start my day off, because if I don't have that environment, what's the rest of my day going to be like with just myself and my thoughts?
And what are my thoughts going to say to me for the rest of the day, because I haven't had that opportunity to just be around people that naturally lift me up and appreciate the same things as me.
Yeah, oh my god, you've got to find your people.
Yeah, completely.
Was it your tribe? A lot of people talk about find your tribe.
Yeah.
So what would you do if the We Swam Through was to shut down, or that community was to disappear? Because it's a big anchor for a lot of people, and it's a push for a lot of people, and it's, like you say, it just helps people whether you're going once a week or every day. If that was to disappear, what would you do?
I don't think it will.
I don't think it will.
Genuinely, I think what's really lovely about it is, you know, Will, who created it, I think.
Lovely guy, yeah.
Yeah, amazing again, and very much understands mental health, and really wanted to set up a community in Eastbourne of, you know, young-ish people that could come together. And I think what's been really lovely is actually people have taken little bits of ownership of it. So although it's Will's baby, he's been able to kind of like allow people to make it their own, and that's what the community is. It's all about everyone kind of inputting, and it's really lovely, isn't it? We've done events. We're doing a barbecue on Friday.
Oh, nice.
And me and Siobhan are running like a full moon, you know, thing on Thursday, which I'm really excited
Yeah, I'm excited about that actually.
And I think for me, like, I found mindfulness at a time that I was the lowest in my life. Like, if I look back to my early 20s, I've been depressed before, and I went to therapy and I had years of therapy, and I found that talking therapy kind of just scratched the surface. I never really got to the root of what was going on for me. I just still always felt like living, I'm kind of surviving, but I'm not really loving life.
Yeah.
And I think I then got into this relationship that, you know, now that I know about ADHD, I understand that you can really hyperfixate on people and things.
Yeah.
And it became my whole identity almost. And then I think I lost parts of myself in that time. And when that broke up, it was such a shock for me. It was I just didn't know what to do with myself. And I felt completely exposed and just the lowest of the low. But I tried to have this face on, so people kept saying, you know, oh, you look great, and you know, but actually I was thinner than I've ever been because I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping, I was just in such a bad space. And the beach for me was the one thing that I used to do, even in lockdown when I was in that relationship and it really wasn't great. I would go to the beach and sit on the beach on my own, and I would just like talk myself through what was happening, and I found it so helpful in my life. And then
that's funny you say that, because a lot of people won't be able to talk to themselves because they'll bring themselves down. So where you bring yourself up, it's the same person inside your head. So how did you change that to a positive talk rather than a negative talk?
I think that's where mindfulness for me has become a really big thing. So in my life at one point I was being made redundant. And I got forced to go on this mindfulness course. I was like, what a load of shit. I don't want to do that. I was really annoyed that my manager had put me on this course, and I had to go for 8 weeks every week, and I would drive there, and I was just like, oh, this is such a waste of time. And the first time I got there was all these people, and they were drinking herbal teas, and I was there with my massive latte caffeinated. I need caffeine. And I just lived on my nerves. I lived on stress, and I arrived, and this woman had a sound bath and everything. And then by the end of the first session, I kind of thought, well, I feel a little bit less stressed, but no, I'm not into it. It's not my thing. And then the second week I came, and she gave us a few exercises to do kind of at home, and one of them was a gratitude journal. And exactly what you said, I was like, this is a load of crap, because I wasn't in a good place. I couldn't think of anything that I was grateful for. I started doing, you know, I'm grateful for my mum's dog. I'm grateful for the fact that it's sunny outside. I was just like, this doesn't feel good. Like,
just something to write down on a page.
And then you almost create your own I'm ungrateful for list, because you start putting a gratitude list, and then you're like, but this hasn't happened, and this doesn't work, and why can't I have this like other people? And you do, you know, they say comparison is the biggest stealer of joy. It's not fun. But I think she just really helped me to regulate my nervous system. That was the biggest thing for me, and taught me breathing techniques that helped me to be less in my head. And once I did that, that was the biggest change in my kind of understanding of your thoughts are not in control of you. Like you totally feel like they are, and especially when you're in the worst place, you're like, my thoughts are, you know, they control everything. But actually you start realizing that thoughts are not facts. So what you're thinking isn't necessarily factual. And the biggest thing that she taught me was to be critical of your thoughts. So to start balancing them out. When you say, oh, well, I'm rubbish at this. Yeah, but are you always rubbish? Were you always rubbish? Wasn't the first person that ever did this kind of thing rubbish the first time they did it? And you start to balance out and kind of neutralize those thoughts. You're never going to completely get to the point where you're like, yay, this is great and this is everything. But our brains have a natural negativity bias. Our brains are there to protect us. When we were cavemen and women, we needed them. You know, when we walked out of the cave, there might be a bear.
Survival.
We needed our brains to go, there's danger, there's danger. So our brains look for danger, and they look for patterns, and they look for negativity, because negativity means something's unsafe. So, you know, in the modern world, we weren't designed to live in the worlds that we live in. And, you know, in the modern world, we perceive everything as a threat. So it's trying to teach your body that actually this isn't a threat, I'm safe. And that was the biggest thing for me. Like when I would go to the beach, I would just listen to really terrible YouTubes that would like teach me how to kind of like breathe in, breathe out, do different breath work, and to calm myself down. And then I would be telling myself all these horrible things, and then I would be balancing it out, being like, is that actually true though? That's not always been true for you. And then that was kind of like a turning point for me. And especially when I went through that breakup and it was really, really bad, I used to write like a list of, so I would write a list of negative things, and then I would debunk them. I would allow myself to basically just write on a page all of the horrible things that I was saying to myself, and just look at it and be like, oh, that's why I wouldn't say that to my best friend.
We are our worst critic at times, yeah.
Yeah, my best friend wouldn't say that about me. My mum wouldn't say that about me. People that know me wouldn't say that about me. So why am I saying that to myself?
It comes back to if one of your friends come to you and ask for advice in relationships or work or their mental health, you'd give them the best advice in the world.
Yeah,
Never
But,
change it.
yeah, but as soon as you talk to yourself, or you're in that situation, you can't see it from the outside perspective.
Never.
So, you know, if I was going through a really bad time with, say, drink or a relationship, if one of my friends come to me, I'd give them good advice. If I'm going through it, I'll be like, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
And then you carry on because you go down that
That's so
negative
bad
cycle.
to do. So bad to do. Like, I have this thing with food. It's like a bit of a dopamine thing, probably. I just like food. I love food.
One of those.
We all love food.
Comfort eat.
And I like realised not too long ago that I like basically eat my feelings, so that's not fun.
Snap.
Yeah. And then I'm crying to people like, why do I look like this? Why do I feel like this? This is so crap. Like, I need help. And my best friend, the other day, I was like, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand. And she's like, I'm not helping you anymore. And I was like, why? You need to help. You're my best friend. She was like, no, because you know what to do. You know how to do it. You just need to keep it simple. You're getting too in your head about it. And I was like, oh, this is really frustrating. Because, like, you know, when you just want someone to be like, okay, I'll do it for you. But actually, it's the friends that go, no, you got to do it on yourself, by yourself now. Yeah. And I needed that.
That's a good friend, though, because a bad friend would just... We just walk, they'd be like, and we always talk about it on motivational.
Or they'd encourage it.
Yeah,
Like,
keep eating, girl. Yeah, have that Domino's. You'll feel better afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, they'll watch you get fat, say nothing, say you look great, whilst you feel terrible.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, just keep going, girl.
Everything's
like,
fine,
keep running yourself into the ground, girl. I'm your bestie. Like, what?
It's hard, isn't it? Like, it is hard. Doing life is hard, and then thinking, oh, and I've got to like make sure I have time to exercise and like have time to myself, and make sure I have time with the kids, and I've got to do all the school emails, which, by the way, like, if any school ever sees this, stop. That's really irritating for my life. And I've got to work full time, and I've got to clean the house, I've got to cook, and like all these things like pile up, and before you know it, you've got like a whole to-do list that's spilling over into days worth, and then you're like stressing yourself out, and you sit there and you go, how can other people do it and I can't?
But I think we're in a society where we're always judging ourselves from other people anyway, because the perception of what people put online, we feel like they're perfect.
Oh, it's so,
You know, you see everybody's happiness. And you're like, oh, how comes they can juggle
a
full-time job?
Sick. Okay, I'm like, no, stop. No, don't. I love people being happy. I want everyone to be happy, and I love seeing happiness in
but
people.
It's often not authentic what people put out.
But be
it's
authentic.
Like a perfectly designed, curated
I think
version
there's
of
like
themselves.
two very fast ends of it, isn't there? There's the really happy-go-lucky people, and then there's people filming themselves just like absolutely in the
worst place.
And I'm like, I get both of those, I do, but I'm like, where's the middle, which is usually the most authentic and of you. Like, I've started to post a bit more about my journey. I'm not like going well in with all of the stuff. I'm not going, oh, this is happening. I'm not doing the pity party. Like, I do it for me, and then if it relates to someone, like we were talking about earlier, if it resonates with someone, cool. If it doesn't, cool. I'm not looking at the numbers. I don't care overly. I like doing the videos. I like editing them. I like posting them for me.
And it's self-journal, isn't it?
It is. And like, going back to what you were saying earlier about like talking to yourself, some people find it hard to do that on your own. For me, talking to myself becomes easier if I talk to myself on the camera.
Yeah.
So
I totally
just find it like, it's like I'm talking to someone else, but I'm not. It's
like
a little bit like a
self-therapy.
voice note, which I'm really good at. Honestly, everyone gets my voice note podcasts all the time. They're like, you love a voice note. Sorry for the 20-minute long voice note. So it's a little bit like that. And then I can look back on it and go, oh, okay, like, there's things that I've recorded of me and I don't even realise, like my body language or the things I say and do, how, like, the way I look or whatever. And I'm like, oh, like, I was going through something then, I didn't even know it at the time. Yeah. So it does help me talk to myself, but I do think everyone should talk to themselves, which is something I'm just learning, because I found it really awkward before, and now I'm like, no, everyone needs to talk to themselves, because for me, I'm like, I talk to myself when I go and do my little videos and
So what
stuff.
about the people who talk to themselves negatively? So the people who talk to themselves daily, bring themselves down, you know, they hurt their productivity because they're non-stop beating themselves up. They're non-stop talking to themselves, but in the negative way.
Well, I think that's hard because it's you need to first of all find something to be a little positive, even if it's one thing that you really love and enjoy. If it's one thing, like for me, it's drinking my tea outside. And before it was in my garden. It would be, I just want to be in my garden in my pajamas and drinking my tea. And then it's now I'm so happy just drinking my tea on the beach in the morning.
Sunrise.
And
Yeah.
the sun rises and the sun makes me happy. And that for me does help me speak better about myself. But then again, and this might be really controversial, if you're, let's say, someone that can't talk to yourselves and can't talk to yourselves well, then film yourself.
Yeah.
Then film yourself.
Would you say film it for yourself or film it to post it?
It's up to you.
I
I think that's entirely your decision. But even if it wasn't for anyone else, even if it was you filming yourself, talking to yourself like crap, and then watching that back, and then how you feel.
That'd be very eye-opening for a lot of people because I've watched some
massively.
stuff back. I'm not a big one on this pity party where people set up a camera over there, then they go sit over here, then they cry, then they pick up the
and then
camera.
they go back. Yeah,
Like,
no,
what the fuck are you doing?
no,
That's not you crying, that's you staging.
Yeah.
But there was a time, it was on an actual YouTube video, but it's all gone now. I've got rid of it. There was a time that I was going through an issue, and cried in the car,
Yeah.
like randomly midway through trying to do the video.
But that's real.
But I was trying to do a really good motivational video,
Yeah.
and then I couldn't do it, and I ended up crying because I was going through my shit. But at the same time, I'm trying to motivate people.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't see that. So I don't know where the video is. The motivational video is up there, but you'll see me wearing sunglasses because as soon as I stop, I cut it, and I was like, "Fucking pussy." I put on the sunglasses,
Nice.
give myself a couple minutes, and then I did the motivational video. And then afterwards, I spoke to the camera again, and I was like, "You know, it is what it is. We caught that." And I did post it at some point, but then again, I took it down. I'm like, "No," I was like, "Nah, I can't be doing this because I'm that guy. I'm the motivational guy," and I owned it.
That's so much pressure.
Yeah, and I feel like people would connect more with that.
Yeah.
Though. Like, I think there's a very big difference between someone setting up a camera and then being like, "Oh, I'm so sad about everything,"
And
to then
someone
being like, "You know
naturally
what? I am really frustrated with myself right now. I'm frustrated with life." And actually, motivation can also come from really dark places. Like sometimes, if people. I found it hard sometimes listening to motivational talk when you're not motivated. Like sometimes it can work really well. And then there's other times that you're just like, oh, I can't hear this, like, because you're just not in that right place. Whereas actually seeing someone else who you see as like an inspiration or someone that's always really positive actually being human and having that moment is like, wow, that's really powerful. Because if they can be like that and I kind of hold them to this like really high esteem and I see them as someone that I look up to, then actually that's okay for me to be like that. And I think we tell ourselves so many times, like I constantly am like, why am I sad about this? Why am I anxious about this? I need to get a grip. But do I? Sometimes I actually need to sit with those feelings. Sometimes I need to feel sad. Sometimes I need to feel anxious and I need to just feel into it and allow myself to feel like that. Because we're not robots. I love the phrase, we are human beings. We're not human doings. Like we try and do all the time. We're constantly doing, but we forget to just be and to be ourselves and to allow ourselves to be emotional and be vulnerable.
Absolutely.
And yeah, sometimes that is going to look raw. And I really like what you said about the posting stuff, because when I was going through my breakup, I started this random TikTok and I started posting these videos, and then I got scared when they started getting traction because I was like, oh my god, I'm being exposed. People are going to know that I'm not like this happy-go-lucky and I'm actually in a really dark space right now. But there was something really amazing about being able to put it out there. It was really empowering for how I was feeling.
It takes a bit of weight off your shoulders as well when you put some of your realness out there. And I've always been open and honest. You know, I've cried, I've gone through some mental health issues. And I've never hid that from people. You know, there's always that male bravado, like, Fatz, he's a doorman, he's a geezer. I still cry, man. Leave me alone. I still cry and have an amaretto in the dark. Like, somebody called me a teddy bear. I'm not a teddy bear, man.
I'm not that good.
So yeah, I think it's good for men to cry and women to cry and get your emotions out there. There's no point trying to hold it back. For a prime example that nobody does know and I haven't said, I went to see Trunks and Hunks the other day. I was at a business meeting, and after the business meeting, I cried on the bench watching the Trunks and Hunks. And once I finished crying, I went over and said, "How you doing, guys? You all right?" And nobody knew I sat there watching them by myself. Just some shit got on my shoulders, and that was literally last week. And I think it was just a build up of, emotions and stress and shit, One of my jobs just gone, and things I was seeing in a bad way. Now I'm seeing things for a new week in a good way.
Yeah.
But it's just that, you can still cry and carry on with life. You just need to ride it through. You need to go through it, like you were saying. And it was just sitting there watching the Trunks and Hunks. It was about, I think it was the afternoon dip. So Thursday, Wednesday.
Oh, Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah.
In the evening.
Oh, yeah, when I seen, you might have been down there as well with the other lady,
I solo dipped that day.
With the Eastbourne local lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maria?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's lovely.
I come and said hello to everybody and went.
That's sad though, because one, you done that on your own, and I do think sometimes you do need to take those moments on your own, but you've done that on your own without anyone knowing. You've only just said that out loud, and the only thing that comes to mind that I want to say is, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
But are you though? Like really, actually, are you? Because
I think you just need to let it out now and again, whether you're crying alone or you go for that workout, you go for that walk, you talk to that friend. Once I'd cried, or once I'd sat down and thought about it and come into a new week, I'm good again. It is just letting it go. It's not as bad as it is. Yeah, you go through that.
It was true reset sometimes, isn't it? Like you need to, your stress levels get up here, or like your overwhelm levels, and you just need to like wash it out. And sometimes that might be going to the gym. Sometimes that might be talking to a friend. Sometimes that might be jumping in the sea, and other times it might be blubbing and snotting and and just allowing yourself.
You got to get ugly sometimes.
It's hard though, isn't it? Because when you do these things, and I mean, I'm a bit like see-through. I think people just see. I think I love that. I think that people don't see right through me. I think I'm like completely solid,
and they're like, we can read you.
Yeah, and everyone's like, you're right, and I'm like, yeah, and they're like, no, you're not, and I'm like, it's just like it's hard, but I think because people can see through me, and I'd like to say I'm quite good at that with other people, but I like to just double check in on people and just make sure they're all right, because you never know like what someone's going through, and it's horrible when you hear the stories, and also we're all just human, and it's sometimes our first time of being human. Like no one's done this, like this is obviously people have done it before, but this is our first time of being this human in this body, experiencing this life, and we're at this point. Like we're all in our 30s, and like we're only just figuring that out now because we're living it. Like it's a real lifetime thing that we're doing, and I think people go about thinking, oh, that person's really wise, or that person's got their shit together, or that person knows what they're doing, but they probably don't. Like we're all just doing it for the first time. Like I say this about my kids, especially Danny, my eldest, because he's almost 15 now.
He's a lad though, and he's
a good lad. He is, until he's at home, and then he's mental, and I'm like, Daddy. But no, he's doing so well. He's trying really hard, and he's one of these kids that are so easily led. He's raging ADHD like crazy, so it's hard to manage, especially if someone like me who's undiagnosed it is hard to manage sometimes. But he has come from such. Oh God.
You got this.
Oh Jesus Christ. He just makes me really proud. He does. I don't think he knows it, but he does.
I think he knows it.
I hope so.
I think he knows it.
I try and support him the best I can, but he's come from such a difficult place. There's not many kids that would go through what he's been through and come out the other side as happy as he is.
Yeah, that's all right, go on.
I said, look, we all get emotional, but he's 15, and I have to always think. So I'm 32, going to be 33, which
still young, still very young.
It is. You know what? Like, my mum and dad, I don't know how old they are, like 60s. And I'm like, they're well young still.
There you go.
It like baffles me because people think of 60-year-old as old, and I'm like, they're really young, so that's like middle age.
Yeah.
Well, I'm living till I'm 102, and I have said that since I was about as old as I can speak, I think. I've always thought that. Like, no joke, I've always said to anyone, I'm living till I'm 102. You'll see me, I'll be like that lady blowing out the candles with her teeth falling out. That'd be me. But Danny's going to turn 15, and I have to keep reminding myself, like, this is his first time of being this age. Like, I've been there. I've been the teenager, and I've done that struggle, and this is his first time of being a 14-year-old or almost 15, and navigating those emotions and having the difficulties in with that. Plus, he's got PTSD. And
unfortunately for us, he's living through a different time now as well. So we didn't have social media or phones or that judgment, and everybody wants to be the influencer. Everybody's getting judged all the time. Everybody's seeing everybody happy. And for a young lad like Danny, he's
heavy.
Stuck, you got to be popular online and in real life now. Whereas we just had to be popular in school for a little bit.
Well, like, I never ever was, by the way. Like, always.
I was the weird kid.
It just wasn't a thing for me. But I'm a bit like you. Like, I just didn't find my place and I didn't fit in. And Danny struggled with that too, and I saw that for a very long time. And it's tough because you have to sit back. You've lived that, and then you have to sit back and watch your child live through it too.
Yeah.
And me and Danny have gone through things like that a lot in our lives, and I'm like having to just take a bit of a backseat, and that's hard. But he has dealt with things really well, and it's I don't praise him enough for it. I think it's me just trying to build up some resilience in the kid, but I don't praise him enough for it. But he does try really, really hard, and he struggles a lot. Yeah. And to see him trying and struggling consecutively, is that the right word? Yeah. That does make me proud, because it's not easy for anyone to do, let alone a 15-year-old.
But for anybody meeting Danny, he's young. I've not had a full-blown conversation with him. Exchanged some words, and he's a testament to you raising him. He's not to be rude, but there's a lot of shit cunts out there. He's not one of these little roadmen carrying a knife at 15.
No, my God, that scared me.
Stealing stuff of elderly.
It's that kids, especially like Danny, who have these struggles like ADHD and stuff, they are a lot more inclined to follow the crowd and become a sheep. And
like you said, they're trying to find a way of fitting in.
So they'll do anything. And he did go through a period of just being like, I'll do that, or go here and do that. And I'm like, Danny,
how do we change that in society? How can we stop kids following a crowd, or trying to fit in, or doing things they want, or carrying knives, or just being negative youngsters? How do we change that for youngsters?
That's such a tough question, because it's hard for kids these days, and I think you've got to give them something positive. That Eastbourne, for example, it's not.
There's not that much going on.
There's nothing. Do you know what I have always said? There is this like forgotten age, and it's from like 11 to 15. They're all forgotten about. You hit 16, you're doing GCSE, so you're remembered, you're leaving school, you're going to prom, you're doing college, and like things start getting exciting, and then you like grow up. Before that age, you're still little, so you're like always thought about. And then it's like the mid period where you're just floating around in life, you're finding your feet, you're getting new hormones, you're figuring out who your real friends are. You're too old to be playing with the young kids and doing that kind of stuff, but you're too young to be doing the adult stuff, so you really are just struggling and finding out.
Not think that we replicate that again when we hit 30.
Oh my God, you do.
So
oh my God, yes you do.
So true.
You kind of get lost in the life you work in. I need to work out, I need to eat right, I need to see my friends. I haven't got time to see my friends. I need to make sure that I'm raising a family, starting a family. I need to be married. Why are they married?
Should have been doing that 5 years ago. What's happening?
And you get to that you hit that kind of 30, and then mental health really struggles. It comes in, and then you start thinking about, how has everybody else made it and I haven't made it? How has they got a family I haven't? How have they got a house and I haven't? And you start thinking to yourself, I'm lost. And I think that's the same
that
thing that you
lost
feel
period.
as a child. You know, you feel, why don't they like me? Why am I not popular? Why can't I hang around with them? Why have I not got the money they've got? Why has my mum and dad haven't got the money or the things that they've got? Why are we not in the car that they've got?
Yeah.
So I think that kind of just replicates it older. But instead of us thinking about it as a child, my mum and dad ain't got this. Why can't I do that? Why can't I that? We then get to the adult and we're like, shit, I haven't got this.
Yeah.
And I think we're constantly judging ourselves.
Absolutely. I think if you're a kid, like you'll find it hard at their age.
Unfortunately, that's what kids have to go through, though.
You do. It builds up that strength and resilience. But to kind of see if things can be stopped in terms of like how kids are nowadays, I think you have to have the right people around you. Like I said at the beginning, like you got to find your people, and you have to try and do that as a kid, which I think is a bit harder because
I think kids are more
No, I don't know
influenced.
actually if it's
Finding a
harder.
tribe as a child is definitely more influential to what they're listening to, what they're doing, who's doing what, and then you jump from group to group to group to group because whoever's the popular or doing something, and you change. You're chopping and change as a child anyway.
It's a constant change.
But as an adult, you have to find your tribe because your tribe is literally what
They
will
stay
influence
with you.
Yeah,
They say, don't they, like you become the 5 people that you spend
yeah.
most
The average
time
of the 5
with.
people. Yes, definitely.
And I think that's something that you really realise when you're in your 30s. When you're in your 20s, like, oh my God, some of the stuff I got up to in my early 20s, I'm like reckless, wild.
Don't know about early 20s, still
But-
mid 20s.
But then all the way through my 20s, and I remember getting to, so I turned 30 over lockdown, and I had this crisis of like the 6 months before I turned 30. I was like, what have I done with my life? Like, what? And then I did that horrible comparison thing where I was looking at everybody else. And for me, as a female who doesn't have children, I wasn't in a healthy relationship. I knew that probably wasn't going to continue. And I was at the back end of that. And I was just thinking, what have I done with my life? Like, I'm looking at all these other people and they're thriving and they've got
cars, families, houses, and children.
The children, you know, all of that stuff. But what I wasn't looking at was all the fun stuff that I'd done because I didn't, you know, have any of that.
The people that have kids look at that and go, oh my God, they're travelling and they're doing all these fun things and I want to do that, but I can't because I've got this.
Again, we come back to judging ourselves, whether you've got the beautiful family and you're looking at people like, how can they do all that? I've got a family, I can't. Or you're looking at the family from the other side of not having a family and be like, oh, I wish I had the family. All I can do is travel. I think we're always looking at something better on the other side.
I think the grass is greener, but then actually often you'll get there and you'll realise actually what you have is great and you miss aspects of that.
That's probably why the mental health's gone so high,
Yeah.
because we're constantly judging. If you look at the 60s, I don't think mental health was that bad because everybody just kind of got on with it and there wasn't that judgment. You know, you go see your friend, have a cup of tea, and you have a family and you're good. Nowadays, we're just so judgmental.
And it didn't overspill into social media and like...
So do you feel social media is good or bad for society?
Both.
I think it's a bit of a paradox. I think it can be really helpful and it can be a great tool, but it's a tool. It's not something that you need to be completely sucked into. And unfortunately, it's designed in a way that is meant to be addictive.
Yeah.
And because of that, you know, they've shown that the app people that put together Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, etc., the way that you look at reels, for example, it goes from up to down. They contacted gambling experts and they worked out what's the most
Have you read the book
addictive-
The Contagious?
I haven't, no.
I was going to say all that you're saying is in that book Contagious, and one of the worst is Pinterest.
Yeah.
So Pinterest is 70% women.
Yeah, I love
love a bit of
because it's a feed that shows you what's next.
Yeah.
Just like Instagram feeds,
Yeah.
it encourages you to scroll.
Yeah.
And I was like, when I was reading that, I was like, wow, and it's 70% women on Pinterest, and you know, most of it is
I'm
because
so obsessed with Pinterest.
I know. And do you know what's funny is that I think of Pinterest as my break from social media.
And that's
and that's how they've caught you.
Yeah. I'm just going to go onto Pinterest for a bit because I'm not actually on social media. I'm just like, I don't know, tagging what nails I want next or pinning what nails I want next or whatever. Yeah. It's
But I use TikTok in the same way. So I don't
I don't
generally like. I don't know why I don't like other people's posts because there's a part that says like on there. So there's a lot of posts I don't like. But if I see a movie I want to see, I like it. So I can go reference it instead of bookmarking it. I like it. So what I should do is bookmark it and just like people's posts. But then I always think if I liked everything, it goes into my like thing.
And
So-
then
I
I see more of it and I keep seeing more of that.
Yeah.
That's so true.
I
feel
use
like
TikTok that much.
Yeah, the apps can be so addictive and it's really hard as well, particularly if you're someone that dopamine chases. So like actually if you're in a low place, easy dopamine comes from binge watching stuff. It comes from
Oh,
being
yeah.
on your phone and doom
Series.
scrolling.
Yeah.
It comes from eating foods that aren't good for you. It comes from oversleeping. All of the stuff that actually is quite bad for you in excess. It's not bad for you if there's only a little bit of it, but it's what you crave because it's that easy
just
dopamine.
named the last couple of months of my
Yeah.
life. Like that's all
But it's
it
easily
is.
done,
Get
you
to a
know.
hole.
It's so easily done.
think
because one
these-
minute you're like doing normal things, and then the next minute you're scrolling through series or TikToks or whatever it is. And I'm like such a binge watcher of things.
I'm a
I have to
hibernator.
watch a movie because I get start, middle, and end.
Yeah.
If I watch a series, you're not going to be able to talk to me for the.
Do you think
foreseeable.
that's most people watch series or binge watch series or get into things to cover up the fact that they don't want to face anything in their real life?
100%,
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Absolutely, I vicariously live through Grey's Anatomy pretty much. I'm just putting it out there.
Comfort show though.
Oh,
It's a
it-
comfort show.
it-
As soon as
is.
it's done, don't you find that you're moving on to the next one?
Yes.
So instead of
Yeah.
actually resetting and be like, right, I should have a break and maybe focus on
you
work,
find the
career,
next one.
self-development,
Yeah.
gym, books, your videos, whatever you want to do to progress your life. You don't. You're like, "Psh, fuck it, I'll find a new series.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you bang, you're back into that again.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like we actually face anything
You
in our own
don't
lives.
process it either. Like I've looked back before. That's very ADHD of me, but I've started something and I thought this feels familiar, and then like
Yeah.
you're like
Oh, yeah.
an hour in and you're like I've already watched this. I've
Yeah.
watched the whole series, and you didn't realize because it's like your brain doesn't take it in because you're literally just soaking it up, sending it off, and then you're like next.
I'm like that with books. You
Yeah,
know?
I do that with
I really struggle to read a book. But I love to see other people reading books.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I really want to be that like
Yeah.
bookwormy, cool
It's
person.
hard.
But I'm not. And I will literally read the first line and I'm like, I don't remember. And then I go back, read it again. It takes me ages because I'm going back rereading things that I've just read to try and like soak
So
in the
I
information.
was having this exact talk earlier with a friend of mine in the car. He was saying he can't read books because he's got ADHD.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't fully believe with a lot of the ADHD when it comes to books. So a lot of people said to me, you got ADHD. I say, fuck off. They say, yes, well, all the things that I pick up start again. Like earlier today, I started a video, went downstairs, did the washing out, come back upstairs,
Yeah, that's oh God.
and
all
then
that,
stopped
yeah.
doing a video to edit photos, and then thought to myself, how did I get halfway through editing that video when I should have been? Yeah.
Have you ever just been like stuck and you're like in the middle of the room and your brain is going, I'm doing this, and this, and that's all I've got to do, and then you're like that
And you can't do
for
anything.
ages, and you're like, oh, and you're just in this room like vibing out to yourself, like no one knows what's going
I
on.
was trying to explain to him that it's just regiment. You've got to do it again and again and again. So I couldn't read before.
No, yeah.
One, because I had a negative viewpoint in books.
Yeah.
But like I was saying to him, I don't feel like it's his ADHD. I just feel like he hasn't regimented it or programmed it in again and again and again.
Yeah.
So even now,
It's like
people,
a muscle.
yeah, people know I'm a
Build that muscle.
bookworm. I love a self-development book,
Yeah,
but I struggle to read it.
Yes.
And it'd be halfway through the page.
yeah.
What the fuck? I don't know what I'm reading.
Yeah.
Because I thought about something else.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
remember
it's
that you
me.
thought
Yeah,
about
and I'm
something.
thinking about something that happened 4 years ago. I'm like, that's crazy. You know, I wonder what I'm going to watch later. And then I'm still
yeah.
reading.
Yeah.
I'm unaware
I
that I'm still
do that.
reading. And then I go back.
Or I'll
and
make
go
up
back.
another scenario in my head, like a completely new, like, oh, I wonder what would happen if, and then before I know it, I've made up a whole different storyline in my head anyway. I've just got a book. Like, I'm trying. I've got books before, and then I've like read a page, and then I'm like, oh, I don't. I do think it's down to the genre because the book
Oh,
that
yeah,
I'm
definitely.
currently reading
Like a novel's easier
took me
than.
within the first page. I was like, wow, who is this girl reading
Yeah.
books on her own will? Like, it's like, you got to get the right genre. I mean, I say this like a complete noob. I probably might not even complete the book, but like just find the right genre, and even if you do, just get captured by like the first few pages. Like, cool, you've read a bit of a book, and then that's it. Just take small wins.
It is literally that, isn't it? It's the small wins. Like up until maybe 4 years ago, I've got a degree, but I actually hadn't read a book as an adult. Like
Yeah.
I would scroll and be like, what information do I need? Scan.
Yeah,
Right, I
yeah.
need that for my essay, but I wouldn't ever like take any of it in. And I said to my friend, and she's a massive bookworm, and she was like, I'm going to find you a book that you will. And she found me this book, and what was clever about it is it was really short chapters. So I felt like I could like speed read through them, and I might not have soaked up everything, but I
Yeah.
kind of got the rough idea. And then the next chapter was like another person's perspective, so it allowed me to do that like
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is
thing.
like the book that I'm reading.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God. And then once I did that, I was like, I think I read it within about 4 days. And she was like, oh my God. And then she's like, right, next one. And she just gave me another one. And I think for me, if I keep up the momentum, so if I go from one book and then I move straight to the next book, I will be really excited by it and I'll read it quickly and then I'll love it. But if I have a break from reading, trying to get back into it again, whatever genre it is, I can find so difficult. But self-development books I find can be really so much easier to like wrap yourself in, because I think
it's real.
I can't visualize, like I find it really hard to try and visualize things in my head. So some people, they can make up like a whole world from reading a book. I'm just there reading the words and then I'm like, what I read, and then I'll get to the next page and I'll think I didn't take any of that in and have to go back. Whereas self-development, I think because there's so much self-reflection as you're doing it, you're kind of like, oh yeah, that relates to me, and you might not soak all of it in, but there might just be those little nuggets that you're going through that you're like, or it will remind you of someone or a scenario that you've been in before. And I think self-development books are amazing, but you can get stuck in that self-development cycle.
Yes, you can.
And I think sometimes we feel like a bit like the consuming of the media stuff, so whether that's on your phone or Netflix or whatever, we'll be like, right, on to the next one, so then you want to read the next thing, rather than actually sitting with some of the ideas from it and then thinking, what did I learn, like how can I implement some of this in my life? We then look at, let's look at the next thing, but actually we don't take it in. So sometimes I have to be careful, because I can get into a bit of a self-development loophole where I just feel like I'm constantly thinking, this is a really good one and I'm going to learn this and I'm going to learn that, but actually I don't take any of it in.
I completely understand that. I got a self-development book called is it The Morning Miracle? 5am Club, whatever. That was like my first one. That was a good starter. And I was actively like using what was in the book and applying it to my life. Once I'd done that and I moved on to the next book, I kind of started realising that, like you get into that self-development hole, it became actually less productive, because all I was doing was putting pressure on myself and giving myself a to-do list that I didn't need. And I was like, what? Okay. Do you know what? I think the world now is filled with morning routines, evening routines, afternoon routines, whatever.
Clean girl aesthetic. Everyone's got to like be perfect.
How about let's just strip it back and go back to basics? How about we have like basic skincare? And just, I don't know, like
get up in the morning and just open the curtains and see the light. Like and just actually get outside. Even if you don't exercise, if you just literally get outside at some point in the day.
Like it, just don't put pressure on yourself. Just look like, wake up in the morning and how do you feel that day? Okay, great, do that thing. What do you want to do? Like, how are we going to do that? Do you want to feel better or do you not want to feel better? Like,
what about if somebody woke up and they said the only thing that make them feel better is a substance or a negative thing?
I think something...
How can they replace that?
Something that I've learned to do over time is to work out almost like a low energy, medium energy and high energy like ideals. So I might not get through everything, but I've got a rough list on my phone of like low energy days will be like the bare minimum. So I'm like, right, okay, even if I get outside and I sit on my doorstep, my back door for 5 minutes and I just sit and I make myself listen to the birds and stay off my phone for 5 minutes, and that's the only productive thing I do for the rest of the day. The rest of the day I get into bed and I sleep and I don't eat. I did that one thing. So I think sometimes we can, you know, and I'm not saying, you know, with substances and stuff like that, that's really tricky, but if that person can do just one thing out of their low
one
energy,
positive thing,
even if it's brushing their teeth, you know, if you on the lowest days ever, self-care is like the bottom of the list. You know, you don't care about your life,
you
so
struggle
why
to
would
get in
you
the
care
shower
about yourself?
you
know, washing your hair, you know, eating something, even if it's not great and it's a ping dinner, but you've actually managed to eat something for that day. We've all been there, you know. It's better than having nothing at all. So I think I just made a very basic list of like, on really terrible days, even if I chose 3 things out of this list and that was like all I managed to do across the whole day, I'm going to be proud of myself because I managed to do something out of that, rather than just being in a hole, not leaving the house, curtains shut, doom scrolling on my phone for 12 and a half hours and feeling crap about myself.
That's really good advice.
Yeah,
And that comes back to the relation of like a 1%. You just need to do 1% every day.
Yeah.
A lot of people feel like they have to give it 100% every day, and it's just not true.
No.
You know, you can give it 100% some days, but some days you just haven't got that 100%.
Yeah.
I get it.
Maybe you only have 1%, so when you give 1%, you are giving 100%.
Yeah, completely.
It's yeah, that's really good advice. And actually, I think I'll be taking that on board.
Give it a go.
I did do similar things to that. It is hard when you're in that complete dark hole that you're like, I don't even want to move from the spot, and like blinking is hard, let alone like getting up and out of bed.
Being a parent on top of that,
You have to.
The fact that you've got to get up, you've
Yeah.
got to feed your kids, you've got to be able to have conversations with people. I live
I've
on
got to
my
have
own.
conversations with my kids.
Yeah, exactly.
When you are like in your pit of anxiety and depression and all, like for me, like PTSD, like, so I was generally quite like fearful of the world as well. And then you've got your kids going, Mummy, can we do this? Mum, what do you think about that? And like asking you all the questions in the world, and they're trying to be happy and perky, and you're like, oh, I don't want to talk to anyone today. But I have to, because you're my child, and you have to feel loved and valued. And on my hardest days, when the agoraphobia stuff kicked in, and
That's a lot more pressure for parents.
Yeah.
It's like a bit of a two-sided coin, because yes, there's so much pressure on parents because you have to be okay. God, there's been so many times that I've cried, and I think almost instinctively my kids are like straight in the room, like, what's wrong? Like, are you okay? Whether I'm silently crying or not. And you kind of have to instantly switch it off. No one sucks up tears faster than a parent does around their kids. I'm just putting it out there. Like, you will just go, that's it, done. And you have to kind of put on the brave face and be like, no, Mum's fine, I'm all right. Like, I'm just feeling a bit like emotional or whatever. And like, you like have to sugarcoat it a little bit or whatever. But there is pressure on us to kind of be like, I've got to physically get up and do what I have to do, because I have two people that are dependent on me. They need dinner. They need, like, even the little things that even just, you don't want to eat, you don't want to cook for yourself, but you have to cook and make dinner so that they eat or whatever. And obviously it goes without saying that I luckily had the support there. If I didn't have that, I don't know how that would have turned out, because I was, as the doctor said, was extremely close to a mental breakdown. And on the days when you don't want to get out, you're scared to walk out of your door because the only thing and place that feels safe is your house, but you've got to, because you've got to get your kids to school or pick them up or whatever. So yes, it's pressure, but equally they're the driving force that gets you better too, because if you didn't have them, then you wouldn't be getting out and you wouldn't be doing the things that you have to do.
Purpose, isn't there?
It's a purpose there.
Your reason why.
Oh, always my reason why. And I said to people before, like, on the days that I didn't want to go out and do anything, walking helps me always. Now I've got to get my youngest to school, and we normally walk up the Cuckoo Trail, which is like a lovely walk to do. I drive to where I need to be, park up, and we walk, and that helps him and it helps me. And by the end of it, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I've done that, and I've got my steps in, so I've achieved something today. And if I lay on the sofa for the rest of the day feeling sorry for myself, that's fine. I've done my steps, I've got my kid to school, when I could easily keep him off as well.
You've served your purpose. Like, you've done something.
When we were talking about your reason why, a prime example of a reason why. So a lot of men reach out to me because of the motivational stuff and the addiction stuff and kind of the past, a negative past. Men reach out to me, and I always say to men, your reason why is your children. You know, if you've got children, that's your reason why. To a point that I actually brought a young man with a substance abuse a key ring for Christmas with his 2 kids on, and I engraved it on the back and said, "Here's your 2 reasons why."
Oh, that's cute.
And you know, just having a memento, a picture, a keepsake in your pocket, and I think that can give you the strength, whether you've got a tattoo on your arm of your children or you've got, you know, something of theirs. And I think that's really, really good and strong and powerful, just to have something.
Yeah,
It's something meaningful
something
to
that
you.
just keeps you
Might just be
going.
their picture. But every time you're going through the tough times, every time you're going through substance abuse, every time you're going through mental health issues, every time you're going to take that drink, or you're going down a negative path, or you're thinking about messing up your life, just look at that picture. Look at that.
Yeah.
You know, that keepsake, that key ring, that.
And
you
it
know,
doesn't need to be your kids. Like, it could be your mum or your dad or your
exactly.
sister
You
or
just need to
brother
find your
or-
why.
Yeah, your
That's
best
it.
friend.
Yeah, that is literally it. Is finding your why, finding your reason to get up in the morning, your reason to do anything that day, your reason to be here ultimately. And
Yeah.
You spoke about the pit earlier, the pit. And for me, the pit was substance abuse, takeaways, not leaving the bed, and then just pretending that partying was okay, but it wasn't okay, because it would be the high of the party, the 2 weeks of the depression, and, you know, suicidal thoughts. And those pit times are hard, because people don't see it,
Yeah.
because you are in your bed.
Yeah.
If you are cooking, well done for cooking. But me, it was takeaway every day.
Yeah.
And the pit times are hard. And I think a lot of people listening to this or watching this can relate to the pit times,
Yeah.
where they don't want to get up, they don't want to wash, they don't want to brush their teeth. If they can avoid work, they will avoid work. If they can get signed off, they can get signed off. How would somebody, you said earlier about your 1% or doing the one thing, but if somebody was going through their pit times, or they feel like they're going to get to their pit times, how would they get around that now?
do you know, I actually entered a bit of a pit this year, and I was saying to some of the girls on the beach the other day, it was weird because I think sometimes you're in the pit, and sometimes it's only when you're coming out of the other end of that you realise how deep in the pit you were.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think I just went totally into hibernation. I live on my own as well, so I think it can be easy for you to not physically speak to people for multiple days at a time, where it might, you know, you can avoid text messages, send a meme, you know, and then, you know, you can doom scroll on Instagram, and people are hearing from you because they're getting the odd reel from you or whatever, but actually passively, you know, you're doing nothing, you're not seeing anyone. And for me, working remotely a lot of the time, I think there was a couple of days where I was like, I've not left the house in 5 days. I've not spoken to a single person outside of my house in 5 days.